Oh, just when we thought maybe the coast could be clear, maybe the clouds could be moving away, more dark clouds storm in on the stock market here in the short term. I gotta share some bad news with you guys, okay? First news story comes out just after the market closes today. It is around Donald Trump, President of the United States. Trump suggests US could slap 10% tariffs on iPhones and Macs imported from China. President Donald Trump has suggested he could place a 10% tariff on iPhones and laptops imported from China in an interview with the Wall Street Journal published Monday, pretty much after the market closed. He also said it is highly unlikely that he would delay an increase in tariffs from the 10% to 25% that is going to start on January 1st, just 4 days before a summit with Chinese President Xi. Now, first off here, we know Apple's already having enough trouble trying to sell more units of iPhones out there, okay? So you would slap a 10% tariff on, now a $1,000 iPhone now goes to $1,100, right? Or Apple has to eat that cost. Apple's not going to eat that cost. They're going to up the price 10%, okay? So all of a sudden 1,000 goes to 1,100, all right? Eventually as time goes on, you keep pushing up these price points more and more, sales are going to slow, right? So what that ends up meaning in the end is this hurts not only Apple, but it hurts a ton of stocks around Apple. This is so much bigger of a deal than, oh, this just hurts Apple or something like that, right? Well, look at Apple. Look at its weight on the S&P 500. Apple is the most heavy weighted stock in the entire S&P 500. Over 3.5% of the weight in the S&P 500 is due in part of Apple, all right? Meaning, if Apple stock struggles, if Apple stock goes down, guess what likely is going to happen? All the rest of stocks are going to go down because stocks a lot of times trade in baskets, and if one stock's hurting the market really bad, a lot of times it'll move down a massive amount of stocks. On the flip side, if one stock's doing really good, it can help the whole market go up and kind of push it up, okay? Not just on the S&P 500. If we look at the NASDAQ 100 as far as that basket goes, it's even scarier. Apple makes up over 11% of the weight of the NASDAQ 100, all right? So you could say, okay, 10% tariff. Let's say you put a 10% tariff on iPhones and Macs, and that slows sales even more, right? And obviously that was something that would hurt Apple and hurt Apple stock overall. Okay, so Apple stock also starts to drop. You might think, oh, that just hurts Apple. No, it's going to hurt the entire stock market. It's going to hurt the entire stock market in the short term if those tariffs go ahead and get put on, which is very much a possibility. It's not just Apple that gets hurt in all this, okay? It's the massive gauntlet of other semiconductor companies that sell parts and different supplies to Apple, okay? The Skyworks Solutions, the Microns, the Light, the Cuervo, all these type of companies, Texas Instruments, Cirrus Logic. There's pretty much almost anybody that's a big semiconductor company in the United States of America is, Apple's probably a big customer of theirs, all right? So if Apple gets hurt, if Apple sales go down, guess who else's sales go down? Almost all those semiconductor companies out there in the United States of America. Semiconductors is a massive industry in the stock market, okay? And if all the semiconductors continue to weaken and weaken, it will also push down the entire stock market and all tech stocks in general, okay? So this is a massive deal here. I would highly suggest they do not put, Trump does not put a 10% tariff on the iPhones and the Macs and things like that. I would 100% disagree with that. I know his end goal there is, let's try to make Apple rethink, having, basically all their phones made at the Foxconn plants out in China. Let's have them, and also Pegatron, let's have them bring back that production to the United States of America. I know that's his thinking there, but I'm just saying that's a really hard thing. I think there would be a lot more damage done by a 10% tariff on iPhones and Macs and things like that than actually good that will be done. So in my personal opinion, I don't think they should go through with that. And that's not the only bad thing, okay? Also, Trump said he expects to increase the tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese goods to 25%, okay? He said basically there's a likelihood that they're not going to get a deal done, all right, in 4 days when him and President Xi end up meeting, all right? That was kind of, it would have been nice to see something done out of that conference. It would have been nice to see something done. It didn't have to be, I don't think there's going to be a mass resolution in the tariffs. I don't think the stock market believes there's going to be a mass resolution in the tariff situation, okay? The market's priced in already that, tariffs are kind of going to be a thing for quite a while, right? But it would have been nice to get something resolved there, some type of medium ground, something that United States and China could agree on tariff-wise, and, shake hands and get something done there. The market would feel so much better about that. But the fact that the trade war is going to probably rage on and nothing's going to get done, that freaks a lot of people out, and that freaks the stock market out in general, okay? This is something that ends up bringing down the stock market because the stock market likes certainty. What we have right now is uncertainty in the overall global economy right now, and a lot of people are worried that global growth is going to slow massively in 2019. We've seen a lot of stuff like this. Global growth will slow from here, says Nomura economists, all right? The 25% tariff is a massive, massive deal on those Chinese goods. We don't know how much that is going to end up hurting China. Does that take China to, from growth to actually a standstill economy to a negative economy? What happens there? We haven't really, tested something like this out in a massive way in a long, long time. So this is all pretty much foreign territory here. We're going to have to see all this works out. I would have loved to see some type of compromise between the two countries come here over this next week. But, word choice like highly unlikely is definitely not a bullish sign out there. So we'll see if anything does get done in the next 4 days. But I would just say as of right now, it doesn't look good. Also, this news came out not so much necessarily bad news for the stock market overall, but General Motors is going to kill the Chevrolet Volt, the Cruze, the Impala as Americans ditch passenger cars. General Motors said Monday that it planned to idle 5 factories in North America and cut more than 14,000 blue-collar and salaried jobs in a bid to trim cost, all right? That's a lot of jobs, okay? 14,000 just from one company to cut in North America. That's not a small amount, okay? Trump doesn't like this at all, right? He says they better damn well open a new plant there. They're playing around with the wrong person. Trump's taking this personally, like General Motors is out to get Trump or something like that. Like Trump, I gotta be honest with you, dude. There's a company that is just coming in the game and just killing General Motors and killing pretty much anybody that's in passenger cars when you start to look at these numbers. And the scariest thing is this company's just really starting to get up and rolling this year. Wait to see what happens. That company's name is Tesla, okay? And believe me, that company's hiring a lot of employees. There are thousands of job openings at Tesla right now. You can go to teslacareers.com. You can go to LinkedIn, over 2,000 jobs on LinkedIn for Tesla workers and whatnot, okay? So it's not like General Motors is out to get Trump or something like that, like just flat out like General Motors, like who wants some of these cars that General Motors is selling? Like, I don't know one soul out there who literally would want one of these General Motors cars that General Motors has right now. General Motors is finally waking up to the fact that, oh my gosh, electric cars coming, Tesla's coming, oh my gosh, they're going to come, kick our ass, and that's the bottom line there, okay? Now, to recap, number 1, even more Apple uncertainty, that's not good for the stock market. Number 2, there's probably going to be no China-U.S. trade deal, which makes more uncertainty and fear in the markets. So in the short term, we're probably going to continue this volatility in this kind of negative market we're in right now, because there's just kind of like no good news. If the 10% tariff comes on Apple, if that is even a realistic possibility, and that comes, like, that is such bad news. And then, with just this whole, still China versus the U.S., and if nothing gets done and no compromise can be made, no handshakes can be done, even on just something very small, right? Not talking about, fix the whole deal, not talking about fix the whole trade war, just maybe a little compromise here and there. If nothing can get done, that just produces a lot more fear out there in the stock market, which is not good. No, there are some people making some money out there, all right? Zillow. So Zillow was the main option play I saw out there. That was a very good one. Zillow call options today. My goodness, guys, hundreds of percent Zillow call options were up today. Some of them up 600, 700, over 2,000% today alone in Zillow options. Some of these Zillow options were up. So you guys know I have a Cyber Monday deal going right now on my options course, 70% off. If you want to learn how to trade options, you can actually hedge positions with options. A lot of people like to put out a lot of fear around options. There are definitely dangerous ways you can play options, very highly highly risky plays, but there are also strategies out there that can make it actually much less risky investing in the stock market through some of the option strategies. I teach you many different strategies that can actually make you money, whether the stock market is going down, whether it's going up, whether it's not moving there. So if you want to check out that, I'll probably have it as a pinned comment. That's the Cyber Monday deal. The stock market's trying to go up in the short term. I think it's going to be, tough sledding from here, just because if you're looking at it in a short-term perspective, there's so much drama right now between the China and U.S. trade war and whatnot. I think it's going to be hard to get the U.S. stock markets to go up in the short term, just with the mere fact that all this drama is going on. And if the U.S. and China can't even come to some small resolution in the trade war situation, like some small deal there, like that's just going to hurt the market overall in the short term. So, but if you're a long-term buyer and you're buying stocks for the long term, this will all wash over eventually, and we'll be clear and sailing again. But the question is, when is that going to be? Are we going to be waiting a 3 months, 6 months, a year? How long is this all going to take to shake out? We shall see as time rolls on. I want to hear from you guys down there in that comment section. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.